Let me tell you something that's been quietly bubbling under the surface of rugby circles. The Western Force just made a move that could redefine their future, and it's not the flashy signings you'd expect. It's a guy named Taj Annan, someone who's been through the ringer of injuries, code switching, and now a fresh start. And here's the kicker. This isn't just another contract renewal. It's a statement. A 22-year-old utility back who spent time in the NRL, played for the Queensland Reds, and now returns to rugby union with a new lease on life. What does that say about the future of rugby? Let me break it down for you. You ever notice how athletes often take detours before finding their true path? Annan's story is a masterclass in that. He started in Queensland Premier Rugby, then got a shot with the Reds, only to be called up for the U20 World Championship. But then, surprise, he went to the NRL.
Why?
Because rugby union's injury culture can be brutal. And let's be real, the NRL's physicality isn't exactly a walk in the park either. But here's what's fascinating. He came back to rugby, not just because he missed it, but because he knew he had something to prove. That's the kind of mindset that separates good players from great ones. Personally, I think this speaks volumes about modern athletes' resilience. They're not just chasing a sport, they're chasing a purpose. Now, the Western Force's decision to re-sign him? That's where things get really interesting. Coach Simon Cron didn't just say he's talented. He called him a high-ceiling player with high communication skills. But here's the thing. Annan's only played 12 minutes of Super Rugby Pacific for them so far. 12 minutes. And yet, they're betting big on him.
Why?
Because they see potential beyond the numbers. Think about it. He's coming off double hip surgery, which is no small feat. The medical staff at the Force must be doing something right if they're confident enough to lock him in for 2 more years. What many people don't realize is that this isn't just about his physical recovery, it's about mental fortitude. How many players would come back from that kind of setback and still believe in their own worth? I'd argue that's the real secret sauce here. And let's not ignore the bigger picture. The Force have been making moves, snagging Ruben O'Neill, Harry McLaughlin-Phillips, Aiden Ekanake. This isn't just a random collection of names. It's a deliberate strategy. They're building a culture, and Annan's part of that. He talks about WA being their chosen home. But what does that mean for the club's identity? It suggests they're trying to create a sense of belonging, not just a roster. In my opinion, that's the future of rugby, teams that prioritize culture as much as talent. Because when players feel like they belong, they play better. It's not just about winning games, it's about creating a legacy. But here's the deeper question. What does this mean for rugby as a whole? We're seeing more and more athletes cross-code, like Annan did with the NRL. Is this a sign that rugby union is becoming more flexible, or is it just a temporary trend? I think it's the latter. Players are realizing they can't just rely on one sport anymore. They need to adapt, evolve, and sometimes take risks. And if the Force's gamble pays off with Annan, it could set a precedent for other clubs to think outside the box. Because let's face it, rugby's not immune to the same pressures as other sports. Injuries, competition, and the need for reinvention are all part of the game now. So, what's the takeaway here? Annan's story isn't just about a contract renewal. It's about second chances, the power of belief, and the evolving landscape of professional sports. If you take a step back and think about it, this is the kind of narrative that could inspire a generation of athletes. And maybe, just maybe, it's a sign that the Western Force is finally turning the corner into something special. But I'll leave you with this. What if the next big star in rugby isn't just a prodigy, but someone who's had to fight their way back from the brink? That's the story we're watching unfold, and it's one worth paying attention to.